So guys, this is just going to be a very short video that's kind of just an addendum to the logarithm one, which talks about what is a logarithm and how does it have to do with exponents. So, there's really only one formula that you need to really memorize in order to understand it. Okay, so the way that you convert between logarithms and exponents, and also explaining really what logarithms are, is the formula y equals log b of x. And that is the same thing as b to the y power equals x. And you can convert them back and forth. The way that I remember that is by the question and answer, y would log b x. And the answer is because it's by x. A more technical way to remember it is to ask the question, to what power do we raise b to get x? And the answer is your y. Now, if you remember those two things, that'll probably help you remember what the different parts of it are. But just to drive it home, let me show you a couple examples of how to convert between logarithms and exponents. In other words, to write the same function two different ways. Okay, so what we're going to do with these is to convert them back and forth. And first, a point that I want to make is that ln is the same thing as log base e. Now, e is a very special number. E roughly is equivalent. Now let's see, I'll make a little note of this. Alright, so ln is the same thing as log base e, otherwise known as the natural logarithm. E is a very special number, and it allows certain functions which we'll touch on in the future. In the same way, log without a notation, for example without a 2, is log base 10. And 10 is the standard logarithm, and you'll notice it when we get to this problem. In fact, let's do this problem first. Okay, so when you look at this, all you have to do is, with especially the nice colors that I drew out, is to plug in the various things to what you have. So for example, you can turn this into looking at the what's in blue, or what the y is here, that 4 equals log base 10 of 10,000. However, because log base 10 is just the standard logarithm, you can get rid of that 10 entirely in your final notation, giving you your final answer there. In the same way, you can do every other one of these problems. It's just by plugging things in back and forth. For example, this one here would be, with the b being 2, would be 2, and the y being 3. 2 to the third power equals, and then the inside the logarithm goes out front here, 8. And the same with this one, remembering of course that ln is log base e. So you can even write that in. You can even write that in there. That ln is always log base e. So you can turn that into e to the roughly, not exactly, to the roughly 0.693 power equals 2. And there are some cases where there will be variables in this. And the way that you do that is you want to focus not so much on the x and y in your formula, but that's why I like to put it in color. You could use the color. So to turn this into a logarithm formula, you would put the x out front, equals log base 13 of 5. It's also how you would solve for x in a problem that looks like that. So, as you can see, the basics of logarithms and exponents and what they are is pretty simple. It's just a formula and plugging things back and forth. Once you understand this, you should go on to my other video, which I made a little bit earlier. That's about how to logarithmic simplification. Alrighty, I'll see you next time.